Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Layer Explorer. Today, with us, we have Beatriz. I've known Beatriz for a while. She's one of, just like me, the waves of Portuguese people that study arts and then move to the UK to do animation. She's very passionate about character animation, and she's also a director. She has directed a couple of films, and she's directing this new film that is not out yet, so I won't spoil much. I think she talks a little bit about the film, but she also doesn't spoil it much because she wants people to be excited about the story. But it's going to be the first time in Layer Explorer that we are going to be looking at the layers of an animated file. So it's not a painting, it's not an illustration, it's not even in Photoshop, but it's this clean animation of one of the shots from the short film, and we're going to be looking at all the animated layers and how complex it is, and we will talk a little bit of animation as we go through those layers. But yeah, it was a very exciting episode, probably the beginning of something new for Layer Explorer because I've never done animation before and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I won't spoil anymore. Go watch the episode, have fun. Okay. Pop. Fuck, that's a horrible start.
Get the coughs out.
Hello, my beauties. Welcome to another episode of Layer Explorer, the show where I invite all of my favorite artists and I watch them unpeel their. In this case, I usually say Photoshop files, but I think today we're gonna go for a different ride. It's gonna be a bit of a pioneer episode here with Beatriz Antunes. She's an amazing animator and designer for animation. I was asking her, okay, how should I present yourself? And you didn't say director, but you are a director. Is this like the humble? We're just being like humble. Like what? Like, do you think you need to make a short film that has more than 2 minutes to be like considered the director?
Maybe. This is an ongoing discussion in my life.
Okay.
But I can get into it when I talk about the project.
Okay.
But so I guess I am. I don't know.
I'm pretty confident. I mean, I'm pretty confident that you are. If you've directed and you had the intention of directing, then you're a director. In my book. But okay, I already kind of have presented yourself. Let you present yourself. But do you want to present yourself?
Sure, sure. My name is Beatriz or Beatrice, depending. I'm a 2D animator and designer for animation, as Pedro said, and I also direct my own short films. So I guess that makes me an animation director at the end of the day.
Chic. That's it. Say it with pride.
That's it.
You did it. Can you give us some context about what kind of crazy ride we're going to be taking here with you're going to be sharing with us today?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a new one, I guess, on the podcast because we're going to be looking more into animation than design or illustration. So I'm just going to talk through one of the shots for my upcoming film, Bring One Direction to Portugal, which is a funny one. It's a very short film. And because we're going to be looking into layers on an animation project, it might be a little bit different because I guess we're going to go through the pipeline of what an animated project looks like. It should be fun.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Very excited for this. And I know you don't want to spoil the film too much, but can you give us a spoiler-free context of what this film... I mean, I think this image is the storytelling is very clear, or possibly what the film is, but like, can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, I don't think it's a film that you can spoil, just because it is truly just a page from my diary when I was 13 years old.
Oh my God.
So it's just me reading it out, and then the film is gonna visually illustrate that. So there's really no spoilers. It's something
amazing.
I've shared it with a few friends, and the general response has been, "Oh my God, that's totally what I was saying when I was 13. That's totally what I was going through when I was 13." So really, it's just like a shared experience between teenagers in like the early 2010s. So it should be pretty fun, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I kind of remember this meme of like in Portugal, I think it was like ended up becoming a meme. I think it was related to One Direction, where like people were left waiting outside of the venue for way too long because they were late. You were there? Oh my god! And then the mothers, the One
Oh,
Direction mothers, they were livid, like complaining about this, and it was a really funny meme of
yeah.
like how they were complaining, how they are like so disappointed with One
It was a
Direction.
bit of a joke, yeah.
And you were there suffering in the heat for how many hours?
So this was at Stadio do Dragão at the time, which it was in 2015, I think. And I was camping outside for 2 nights before the concert with my friends. So I had like a tent, I had sleeping bags, and my mom was parked like yeah, just like outside the stadium. And yeah, I was waiting there for 2 nights. They didn't give us any water, any food. And obviously we couldn't leave the queue to go and get food. So our parents had to like come from like just come and give us food, go back to the house, whatever, just stay there with us the night. And there wasn't any police, there wasn't like a fire brigade, anything. It was hot, it was boiling. And then the day of the concert, I remember it was like 40 degrees outside. We were left waiting all day. It got so bad that then the fire brigade had to come and give us water. And then they were hosing us down with hoses because it was so hot that day. People were passing out. People had to be taken to the hospital. Like it was a joke, and security didn't do anything. And that's why people were so upset.
Oh my
It was a
god. I as a Portuguese person, I cannot describe to the audience how much of a full circle moment this is for me. Like
really
to know, I knew the meme. I was already living in the UK, but to know that you're not just making a short film about like this diary like experience that you just described, but that you were in the meme, like you were in the thing, like
I lived it.
wow,
I survived
camped
it.
for 2, because I thought it was like, I don't know, maybe people had to queue for like 5 hours, like you do in like clubs in Berlin or something, but like 2 days camping.
The thing is, I think things weren't explained properly at the time, because the reason why I stayed camping outside for 2 nights was because I thought it was like a first come, first serve sort of thing where you come in, you join the queue, and if you were at the front of the queue, you get like front row. But the way the stadium was divided, so I was like on the standing part of the stadium, and the way it was divided was 4 blocks, and they would put us into these 4 blocks. So let's say you came 5 hours before the concert, but for some reason you were put in block B. So they would fill out block A first and then block B. So people would be in front row on block B. It didn't mean necessarily that they had been there for ages. So I was camping for 2 days and I was way in the back. Like
No
I couldn't
way.
see the boys at all. So it wasn't even worth it.
Oh no,
That was
that's
when I
a
was
tragic
super-
ending.
I know it wasn't worth it. I could like see the top of their heads, but yeah,
Was it worth it?
it was worth it for the experience. Like
Yeah.
as a teenager, that's a core memory that I'll never forget. It was one of the best nights of my life. But I slept for like 2 days after that. It was exhausting. I was dehydrated. I was drained emotionally.
Wow. It was one of those things that like people were outside and they were singing together and clapping while they were waiting, like on day one.
Yeah.
And then like the leader of the Instagram fan page was there, and it was like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm in her presence. Like
and the news were there, like they were interviewing.
Oh my god.
It's
That's
kind of
so
embarrassing.
funny.
It's kind of embarrassing, but I choose to be proud of it, you know?
Yeah. I don't think it's embarrassing at all. I think I like to see people passionate about things.
Yeah, exactly.
But okay, should we get to the layers?
We should. There you go. You've got some backstory now.
Let's do it. We are here with the layers. Do you want to start from the bottom layer? Do you want to start from where? Tell me.
I can start from the bottom because that's kind of the beginning of the process. Maybe I'll just play it just so people know what it looks like.
Yes, let's do it.
So this is just 4 seconds of animation, and it's looped, really. So this is kind of it. This is a shot from the middle of the film. So it's right bang on in the middle. So I can start from the bottom layer. Let me just hide everything. So really, the bottom layer is just reference. It would be the animatic. So this is something I do before I get started on animation. And let me just make sure it's muted.
And how detailed? How detailed is your animatic? Because my animatics, they look criminal.
Well, let me just see if I can mute this because it's my voice and I really don't want to listen to it.
Okay.
But I don't think so. So let me just cover my ears.
They're called One Direction. I love them so much. I know.
Anyway, you got a little sneak peek.
Oh my god, we got a little sentence from the diary.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, as you can see, there's actually nothing happening in the animatic because I knew it'd be a very short loop of animation. And there's nothing that I need to indicate to the person working on the shot that it needs to be animated a certain way. It's just something that I can do in the rough animation stage. So in terms of animatic, I just left it as a static image, just in terms of me figuring out what the composition is going to be like and whatnot. So that's the animatic, pretty straightforward, just a reference. So from then on, I then jump into layout where I kind of figure out the composition of the shot and where everything's going to be, like what needs to be animated, what's going to be a background design. I have a few versions of this, but this is the final one I went with, just so I know what's going to be animated and what's not going to be animated.
Cool.
But then the real deal happens in rough animation. So then I'm just throwing this on. And I work with the background as well. Okay. So
the background is going to be this gray thing, static. There's always going to be there, just so you know roughly where things are.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just basically for positioning, just so I know where everything sits.
And which software is this?
Oh, so this is Adobe Animate. For animation, I mostly work with TV Paint because that's just sort of for hand-drawn animation. But because this was a shorter project and because I wanted it to have sort of a cleaner look, I used Adobe Animate because it's a vector-based animation. It's a vector-based animation software, and so it's easier to edit it. It's easier to create. You can either create hand-drawn animation or you can create like cutouts, or it's very suitable for many different styles of animation.
Yeah.
And so because I knew I wanted something a bit more cleaner and easier to edit in the future, I just went with Animate.
Very cool.
And this is something I use on like professional jobs as well, like industry jobs.
The Adobe Animate or the TV Paint or both?
Both, but mostly Adobe Animate. Yeah.
Okay.
So for example, when I was working at Studio AKA on Hey Dougie, we only use Adobe Animate, and that's cutout animation.
Okay. So which one would you recommend? For example, for me, I will confess something here. I animated my short films on Photoshop. I regret it so much.
Why would you do that?
I did it. Like I've done 12 or 13 short films already. And every short film, I'm like, no, this one, I'm going to learn a new software. I'm going to finally, I tried to do Toon Boom, but for me, like I really love line quality and I just couldn't get the line quality that I liked in Toon Boom. And TV Paint is like the top of the mountain for me. I really want to learn TV Paint. But when I start a short film, I get in like schedule mode and I'm like, can I fit me learning a new software on a schedule? Usually no. So I've always went back to Photoshop, and then I had to paint frame by frame. Like
that's crazy. That's crazy.
I will never do it again. Honestly, that's like burnout zone for me. It's like the animation part in Photoshop. So if you had to recommend silly little me a software to learn, to having in mind that I like line quality and I don't want to go for something super vector, super like all the lines have the same thickness kind of thing. I do like textured lines. What would you recommend I go with?
If you say you already know Toon Boom, I would stick with it because I think you can do both. You can do vector or you can do hand-drawn, and it gives you quite good line quality. So I think you would stick with that. I think most people don't go for Toon Boom because it is quite expensive and it's quite a commitment, but I think it's a great software to learn. And a lot of people use it in the industry as well.
Cool.
Okay. Personally, I really do like TV Paint because I think in terms of software, I think it has a more straightforward surface. What am I trying to say?
Interface.
I think in terms of software, it has a more straightforward interface, and it feels like you're drawing on paper more. I think you have that experience a bit more with TV Paint, and so personally, I do prefer TV Paint because it feels more traditional.
Okay.
If I had to recommend, I will say, if you are starting off and you want to just do small projects, Procreate is the one I always say people should go with. Whether it's Streams or normal Procreate, because it's cheap.
What a twist.
It's so straightforward. Yeah. It's super straightforward. Like, it has so much diversity in what you can do in the software, and you can just do it from like your bed, from a coffee shop.
Yeah.
So I really like Procreate, but if you want to do something a bit more complex, then I would say TV Paint, personally.
Cool. Kids, do not animate from your bed. It's gonna fuck up with your wrists. Your bed is meant for resting. Okay, take breaks. No. Take breaks.
I'm not doing that at all. Yeah. I don't do
that. But okay, so we have these layers. So in all of these sketchy lines that we have here, how many layers are they actually divided on?
Cool. So I can go through them one by one.
Cool.
And so we obviously have our background layer that I've mentioned before. That's just a plain background. After that, we've got our fire animation. So that's just some fire effects. I did a very rough pass on that, and then I had a few other animators working on it afterwards. I will say that Chen Morgan did an amazing job on this shot, and like all props to him because he's a great effects artist. So he did most of this effects that you see on screen.
Shout out to him. We'll put their do they have like a handle? We'll put their handle.
Yes. Like yeah. I can send it to you as well.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, I did the rough pass, and then Chen went over and did like the proper FX animation. And then I think Emma did the cleanup, but I'll send it to you just so cool. You know. So in terms of effects, yeah, we've got a few frames. So this is animated on 2s, and it's just straight fire animation.
Cool.
After that, we've got the flags. So we've got some flags waving in the wind, and that's again on 2s.
Wow.
And we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames of that animation because it's then going to be looped all the way through the shot. Then we've got our main animation, which in this pass, I didn't actually do any rough animation because our character is just going to be static holding the sign. Yeah. And so I added the boil in cleanup animation. So there was no need for me to do any rough pass on that. After that, I added the hair animation. So that's...
Oh, that's just the trajectory of like the waviness of the...
Exactly. Cool. Zoom in a bit. You see it properly. So I do... Anytime there's like secondary animation, so whether that is hair or like anything floating in the wind or like, anything that's secondary to the character, I always do a first pass of just like line action, and then I go on top of that and do the actual animation of whatever object that is.
Cool.
So
that's a very good tip. You just wasted your quick tip right there. You're gonna have to think of another one there.
Damn it.
That's so cool. Yeah, do the trajectory first, and then you add actual details.
Yeah, just do like a really rough pass what that's gonna look like.
Yeah.
So in this, I decided to actually do this on 3s because I wanted the fire and the flags to be a lot more intense.
Yeah.
And to catch a lot more. So then the hair could have a not smoother, but like a what's the word I'm looking for? I wanted the hair to not catch your eye so much because it is secondary animation. So I animated that on 3s. So it's a bit clunkier and like it aids to the feeling of the animation a bit more.
Yeah, very cool.
So that's on 3s, and there's just 4 frames of that. So again, on top of that, I just went over and animated the actual hair.
I think this is a very good example of like, sometimes I talk about this with my students, which is some students associate with limitations with something that is bad, if to simplify
Mm,
it. But this is such a good example of like, you were super aware of your limitations and you did
mm.
an animation on threes, which people are like, okay, no, it's not fluid. It's not fluid. But like, no, you chose an aesthetic to what
Yeah,
that is
exactly.
relevant to. And it just works so well and it fits so well. And it's like blocky, but it makes sense with the design decisions that you made, that it's
Mhm.
like you've kind of owned the limitations there and you made something really nice and like concise with it. I mean, I haven't seen the rest of the film, but I'm sure my opinion will not change.
Yeah,
The rest of the film is 24 frames per second, like super fantasia, like flowy. And
yeah.
this is such a good version of that, of like, you were
Mm.
very, very limited in resources, of course, and like, but you still chose a style that is like, it doesn't feel like it because it's supposed to be like that. It's a very like, yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. And like I will say just very quickly that the previous film I worked on, it was sort of a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and the animation was very intricate. It wasn't super intricate, but for the time I had, I tried to make it a bit more detailed and a lot of secondary animation and very thin, very precious little details in line. And it was a headache. I've really enjoyed working on that film, but I will say that for the time I had, like most of it was a headache trying to get the animation right and all the details right. And I think if you know that you're working on a short project, you're giving yourself a short deadline and you just want to get something done, I think it's really great for you to actually be realistic and say, okay, if I'm only going to have 1 week to animate this shot, then what's the easiest way to simplify this? Whether that being in design or animation, like if you can still make it work and you can still read what's going on, I think it is worth trying to find ways to simplify what you're working on. And that's really what I tried to do here. And that was mostly with design as well. I tried to really focus on just having geometric shapes that I could move around and still be readable in terms of animation. And yeah, that's really what I was focusing on
Super
when I was
cool.
thinking of shots.
Because Beatriz whipped out a 1 minute short film, or is in the process of doing it. In how long?
2 months. 2 months. But I will say, and major credit to 12 people I'm working with. I put a call out just looking for volunteer animators, which I feel very bad about because I do think people should get paid. But people are actually really, really open to collaborating and working on cool projects. And so when I put the call out and people go back to me about just wanting to do like a little bit of animation on the film, I was super excited. And that really, really helped on how fast the film moved because I had 12 amazing people just like jumping on. And even if they were doing a second or two of animation, that really helped out. So like all credit to them.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Super cool. Super cool. Because I remember at university, like we would be a team of maybe 10 people, 12 people. And it took us a year of grind, a year of crunch to be able to finish like a 1 minute, sometimes 2 minute short film, or a little bit more depending on, but like it would be like, let's say 2 minutes, and it would take like that for a year. And that was like, we weren't doing other jobs. That was like our uni project. So the fact that you did, if it's 1 minute, I guess it's half of that, but you did in like 2 months, or you're doing it in 2 months with the same amount of people. It's like, wow, chic. Very nice.
I appreciate that. But again, I think it really comes down to how much detail you're putting into the film. Because I do think it is possible to make a film in 4 weeks, but it's really just down to that.
Yeah. Super nice.
Cool. So then, where were we? Hair. Yes, I talked about the hair. And then the last thing in rough animation was the shirts. And I just wanted the shirt to be waving as well with everything else in the shot. So I just added a very small detail of waving in the skirting of the shirt. And that's also on threads. So yeah, there's lots going on in the shot. Very separate parts moving at different speeds.
Yeah.
But it is, at the end of the day, it is quite a simple shot. So that's all for rough animation. And then after that, because I was giving it away to someone else, so in this case, I was giving it away to Shan, and then I gave it away to Emma for coloring. I made sure to add just a color reference so they can work from and just see what the cleanup can look like or should look like and color should look like. So I always added that in all the shots. And it's just the background. And we can move on to cleanup. That's when it gets a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, so let's go from the start. We've got our background, that's just the bulk color. And
Well, that moves too.
that moves too, and that was sort of a last minute decision. This layer right here, this came as a last minute decision after all the cleanup was done. I just thought that it needed a bit more movement.
Yeah.
And so I just added this shape in the background.
Cool.
Just add to the chaos of the shot. And after that, we've got the fire, which is pretty much the same.
Very nice. Is the fire gonna be lineless?
It is, yeah.
Nice. Okay.
So, yeah, you'll see it as well. When I show you all the rest of the film, you'll see that all the background is pretty much lineless. Yeah. Is it? Yeah, background elements are pretty much lineless. They have a little bit of line as detail, but I tried to make everything lineless, and the lines are in the animation to try and create that contrast between like different planes.
Cool.
So that's that. The background. We just lock that so you can see it properly. Fire. There we go. That's the fire. And after that, we've got our flags. Flag left, flag right. Okay. Oh, actually. Okay, so the way this has been animated, or rather, the way this has been cleaned up, we've done the flags first, and then we added the 1D on top. There we go.
Wow. I imagine they are flipped. They are like the same flag flipped, and then you change the timing a little bit, or they are exactly the same timing.
Yeah, they're actually, let's go for it. Let's see. No, they're exactly the same. They're flipped, but we just had to like reposition the 1D because that couldn't be flipped, obviously. So we just flipped the flag and then flipped the 1D again and had to like reposition that a little bit.
Yeah.
So it worked.
Very nice.
That's that. And then
it's like two big challenges: wind animation and fire animation.
I know. Again, all props to Chen, because I'm not personally, I've done a little bit of FX before, but I'm not an FX artist, and there's so much that goes into it. So props to Chen for just absolutely nailing this, because I think the fire looks so cool.
Yeah.
And the flags as well. So then you can see the hair in isolation here. It's just that thing floating about.
Yeah.
And so that comes the character, which initially this flag was going to have, this character in this shot was going to have a fully black outline. But then when we finished coloring all the shots, I actually didn't think a lot of them were working together. So I did a color script, looked at all the shots together, and saw that, okay, this shot needs a little bit of contrast in comparison to the others. And I made the outline yellow, and it really pops against all the other shots.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So then,
I was like, wait, there's something missing here. And like, yeah, it was the outline. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. So then you can see it. Let me just look it. There we go. So yeah, at the moment, the character is literally just boiling on threes to add a little bit of movement shot.
That's the name of it, boiling? Like when you draw the same line, but it kind of like...
Yeah. Yeah. And then you can sort of manage how chaotic you want it to be, or if you just want a tiny little bit of movement. So when I was speaking to the animators on this, I had to tell them, like, try and not go outside the lines too much, but just in a way that your wrist would naturally come outside the lines.
Yeah.
So it's not super chaotic, but you can see there's movement there.
Okay, wow.
That's quite cool. And then the text and the shirt movement. And the last thing, which is also a last minute decision, was the spinning world or spinning globe, which is actually quite cool, because if you double click it, and this is something cool that you can do on Animate. I think you can do it on Toon Boom as well. Something cool that you can do on Animate, which is quite similar to After Effects, is that you can group things into symbols, so that you can have animation inside a symbol within a symbol within a symbol. And it's really cool, a really cool way for you to organize your layers. And so once you go into World Circle, you then actually have a few more layers. And this is just a looping animation of the lines sort of going across. So if I play it, let me just play it on loop. So if I play it, the lines are really just moving from left to right, but curving in different ways.
Cool.
And that creates that sort of like three-dimensional spinning idea, or like illusion. I quite like this. This is on Tubes as well. Oops. Just Control Z. And that's really it for cleanup. And then a lot of it will be a comping job afterwards.
Yeah.
So a lot of the lighting, shadows, everything to get to that final look of the animation will come afterwards in After Effects when I put everything together. So this is it. This is the shot.
Wow. That is the shot. We saw layer by layer, and it's quite a lot of different like effects layer for a character, for a static character pose. It's like there's so much around it to, I mean, I guess that's what makes a character pop, is the character is not really moving while everything else is like total chaos. Super cool. And
That's
what's
cool
gonna be in the background?
Sorry?
And what's gonna be in the background of like behind those triangles?
Yeah, that's just going to be a solid color, just what it is now. Because if you look, as I was telling you, I don't do a lot of like concept art or background design or anything like that. So I do find that working against block colors actually makes the animation pop a lot more. It's just a way of, again, simplifying everything as much as I can. So there are a few shots, quite a lot of shots. I would say probably half of the film has backgrounds, but a lot of it I made a decision to just leave it as a plain block color. And cool. I think, this is one of them.
Very nice. Very nice. Wow. Yeah. That was right. I can't believe we've already gotten to the end. And we have our special, I'm curious to see what's this episode's quick tip is gonna be related to animation. I usually tell every single guest that, like, in the beginning, just so I don't catch them by surprise. But we have this thing which at the end of the interview I ask for a quick tip, something, I don't know, 30-second long or something, like a very quick thing that makes the difference in your day-to-day, like methods and stuff like that. What would be your quick tip for today?
Okay, I will say that a lot of people do work well with just sort of, let me just pause this is distracting. Okay. I'll say that I think a lot of people do work well with just being spontaneous and making decisions on the spot, which I think is great. But I work really well with planning things out. So for me, when it comes to animation, I find it super useful to just have a spreadsheet where I go. So yeah, as I was saying, I think a lot of people work well with just being spontaneous. But for me personally, because animation is such a big pipeline with so many different stages, I think it's super useful to beforehand think about what you want to do and how you want to split that into separate stages, and even in terms of deadlines, like how much time you want to give yourself for each of those separate stages. So I think if beforehand you think about how much work you want to put into rough animation, how much time you want to dedicate into rough animation, how many shots you're going to have, and then how you want to allocate that. Even if you work on your own, like how do you want to allocate that to your team or whatever? I think it's really useful to just write that down. Even if it's like on a piece of paper, I think it's super useful to be like, okay, rough animation, I've got 12 shots. This is how I'm going to split my time between those 12 shots. You can even do a color system where it's like, the shot is super tricky, so I'm going to color it red. The shot is pretty easy. I'm going to color it green. And then, yeah, just split everything between stages of animation, rough in between, cleanup, color, whatever else you might have. And I think it really helps me just be at ease with how much work there's going to be ahead of me. And it makes me more motivated to tick all those boxes and be like, okay, this is looking pretty green. Move on to the next one. I would say that's my tip.
I see myself so much in this. Like, honestly, like it gives me so much joy to look at an Excel and there's so much green. And
wait, I have something to say. I can't believe I haven't said this, but I have to say it on your podcast, which is my first job after uni. Like the first thing I ever did was helping Pedro with his film as a
oh my God,
like,
that's true.
That was the first ever thing I did when I was out of uni. So thank you.
that's oh my God, that is true. That is true.
That was ages ago.
That's so oh my God. Yeah.
So it rubbed up on me in the sense that like a lot of the things you mentioned in that project I still use to this day.
That's so funny. Wow. That makes me so happy. But like Excel, I love it so much. I use it to everything. I use it to my own life, my own personal habits. I use it for my films. I use it for my projects. I use it for my finances. I use it for my, I don't know, anything. Like I have everything in lists. I don't really trust my memory. I don't really trust my sense of timing or time or something like that. Everything has to be always written. I love lists. I love crossing things out of lists.
It's so satisfying.
Yeah, I love it so much. That's a very good tip. It's the first time in Layer Explorer that I'm seeing a screen share of an Excel, but it's a screen share that brings me a lot of happiness. I really
animators will understand this.
yeah. But I don't do the arrow thing with the tab. That's like a level of like the drop. Yeah, that's like a level of technology that I haven't yet not gotten to. That's amazing.
It's super cool because then you can look through everyone and be like, oh, cool, who's available, and then you just put them up.
That's super cool. Because for me, I just write everything by hand.
Yeah, which is fine as well.
It's a bit more archaic than what you do here. This is advanced Excel, but yeah, super cool. Well, so we have gotten to the end of this episode. Tell us how can people find you? What's going on in your life? I mean, we can imagine what's going on in your life with this, but tell us if there's more stuff going on in your life. What are you up to at the moment? And tell us everything.
Let me just say, first of all, thank you so much for having me. This has been super, super fun. Thank you for having me on.
It's been super fun, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously I'm working on this film at the moment. This has been the last 2 months of my life, hoping to get it done before the end of the year. So hopefully we'll be able to share that with everyone before then.
Exciting.
Just super, super exciting.
Nice.
Besides this, I'm always just kind of working on different mini projects. I just finished Peachtober, which has been a little animation every day in October. So I do like setting myself little challenges like that to sort of exercise animation every day, because I do think it's like a practice thing. I do like exercising it. So that was quite good. I'm kind of happy that it's over now.
Yeah.
I'm over it. Yeah, and then besides that, obviously I'm a freelance animator, so I'm always working on like projects and like animated shows or whatever it is. So I'm always open to like new projects. That's kind of me at the moment. Always trying to stay busy, always trying to do animation, connecting with people, collaborating. Love collaborating with people. That's me.
Awesome, guys. That was another amazing episode of Lyric Explorer. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you've gotten this far, I hope you guys enjoyed this as at least half as much as I did. Enjoy as much as I did. It was going to be hard. And that's it. I'll see you guys next Sunday. Take care.